Steps local leaders are taking that they say will improve gun safety in San Diego. Today is the deadline to register to vote, how to get your ballot, and what comes next. And the case is being taken up by the Supreme Court that could impact major immigration decisions made by the White House. ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
And welcome this midday. Great to have you with us. I am again joined remotely by my co-anchor Virginia Cha, and Vanessa Paz has the weather today, and we'll hear from both of you very shortly. Now we start with a developing story out in Mountain View, where a man was shot by police overnight. Police responding to calls around 4:30 this morning about a man causing a disturbance and destroying property with a shower rod. Now police say at one point there was a confrontation with officers and they opened fire. Man was taken to a nearby hospital. We are still working to find out if he survived. County and city officials want more gun safety training for social workers in our area. ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell shows us what changes they want to implement.
Among those that haven't stopped working during this pandemic are social workers, and now city and county officials want them to get extra gun safety training before they go to their visits. On the steps of the county admin building, both Supervisor Nathan Fletcher and City Attorney Mara Elliott announced a new partnership that will provide specialized gun safety training for 800 social workers that deal with children and investigate child abuse. The training will be held virtually for these employees in the coming months. They want each of them to be familiar with gun violence restraining orders and San Diego's safe storage of firearms law. Two tools gun prevention advocates say are essential in keeping people safe.
The more people who are aware of how to use a gun violence restraining order, I think as far as we're concerned, the better.
Officials say they're doing this now because the pandemic has limited the interaction between the children and mandated reporters such as teachers or school counselors. And they want social workers to know about the dangers before they head to these visits. Reporting outside the county admin building, Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.
Your voice, your vote. Today is the last day for you to register to vote. More than 400,000 people here in San Diego have already cast their ballots. That's an unheard of number this early in the election cycle.
We're over 400% this time in 2016 in terms of mail ballots that have been returned back to our office.
If you want to vote in the November 3rd presidential general election, register by today to get a ballot in the mail. Now, if you're not sure if you're registered to vote already, check your registration status online at sdvote.com. And if you don't have access to a computer, registration forms are available at the Registrar of Voters Office, the U.S. Postal Service, City Clerk, public libraries, and DMVs. Besides today's registration deadline, there are other dates every voter should keep in mind. So in-person voting begins October 31st at any one of the county's 235 polling places, and that voting will continue through Election Day, November 3rd. And we are just over 2 weeks away until that election day. And over the weekend, both presidential candidates hit the campaign trail, speaking to voters in battleground states. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has more on the places they're targeting and their message to voters.
The race for the White House in its home stretch.
It's go time.
Get out and vote.
President Trump on defense, holding rallies in battleground states he won in 2016, like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona. The president's message seeming to target his base rather than undecided voters, as early voting records continue to be shattered across the U.S.
Lock them all up.
Trump taking aim at Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer just days after the FBI and state police revealed she was the target of an alleged domestic terror plot to kidnap her, put her on trial, and execute her. And Trump making fun of his opponent Joe Biden for saying he will follow the science on the coronavirus pandemic.
He'll listen to the scientists. If I listened totally to the scientists, we would right now have a country that would be in a massive depression.
Biden responding in a tweet Monday saying yes, he would listen to scientists, and once again hammering the president on his handling of the pandemic, which has cost more than 219,000 American lives and left nearly 11 million in the U.S. unemployed.
Things are getting worse. He continues to lie to us about the circumstances.
The latest ABC News Washington Post poll shows Biden leading Trump by 12 points nationally, but the Biden team warning the race could be tighter than polls suggest, blasting out a memo this weekend saying Donald Trump can still win this race and urging supporters not to get complacent. And yet, the former vice president off the campaign trail today, prepping for the final presidential debate after he was off the trail Saturday, too.
We can't let up.
Early in-person voting kicks off today in Florida. Senator Kamala Harris making a stop there today. Vice President Mike Pence is campaigning in Pennsylvania and Maine. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
Today, the Supreme Court announcing it will hear cases about President Trump's border wall and the controversial Remain in Mexico policy. ABC 10 News anchor Mary McKenzie has the reaction from a local immigration activist.
A lot is still in limbo. A lot is still on the line, especially not knowing if, well, likely the new Supreme Court judge will be in place by then.
Pedro Rios is with the American Friends Service Committee. One of the organization's key issues is defending immigrant rights, including the tens of thousands of asylum seekers who've been waiting for months in Mexico for their cases to be heard.
It's sort of between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, it's good to hear that the highest court is interested in making a decision about this extremely important case. On the other hand, knowing that it'll probably be months before they hear a decision is certainly disheartening.
The Supreme Court agreed to review the policy that makes asylum seekers wait in Mexico for U.S. court hearings. The policy is technically called Migrant Protection Protocols, but informally it's known as Remain in Mexico. It was introduced in January of 2019. More than 60,000 asylum seekers were sent back to Mexico under the policy. The border wall case concerns the Trump administration's attempts to transfer Pentagon funds to build part of the wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. Lower courts have ruled the administration doesn't have the authority to transfer the $2.5 billion in funds. But in a previous order, SCOTUS allowed the construction to continue while the appeals process plays out. Because the court's calendar is already full through the end of the year, the justices will not hear these cases until 2021. And if President Trump is not reelected and the policies are reversed, it will render these cases largely moot. Mary McKenzie, ABC 10 News.
This morning, local and federal authorities putting out a plea for the public's help to find a man suspected of kidnapping his own children. This is Leanne Chin. Investigators say that he picked up his two boys from their mother in January of 2019. Under the agreement, he'd return them a day later. Well, he never did, and police say he fled with them to Mexico. They were last seen in Tijuana. The boys are about 8 years old. Chin is wanted by federal authorities on a $1 million warrant. Crime Stoppers is offering a reward for any information leading to his arrest. Virginia?
Thank you, Jim. Overnight, a Chula Vista police officer injured in a confrontation with a driver. It happened about 1:30 this morning on 4th and Bayer Way. So according to police, officers were responding to a call about a crash when they saw a man running from the silver sedan that was involved. Officers caught up with him and say he started fighting, injuring one officer. Paramedics were called to the scene after the man appeared to lose consciousness. He later woke up, started yelling at the officers. The one who was injured was treated by paramedics and taken away for more medical attention, but no word on how badly hurt he is. The driver was being evaluated for DUI. Well, tomorrow, Vista Unified School District students will return to class. The district says they have safety measures in place, including requiring face masks and enhanced cleaning. But some families are looking for more options because they don't agree with how the district plans to bring students back.
I think there are many other alternatives that they could investigate to bring the students back without jeopardizing their health, their parents' health, the health of the teachers.
Last month, the district superintendent said the board approved a memorandum of understanding with the Vista Teachers Association about the reopening plan. But the association says the current plan goes against what was agreed upon. We're also hearing from the association president that there may be a motion for a vote of no confidence against the superintendent. That could happen tonight.